The Wind Waker, while now is one of my favorite Zelda games of all time, when it was first announced, did not sit well with a lot of people. At the time, we were coming off of Ocarina of Time, we were coming off of Majora's Mask, and a lot of people were really expecting a more, realistic Zelda experience. So when this cartoon style of Zelda game was announced, a lot of people were upset, especially since I believe the same exact year they showed a demo at E3 of a very realistic looking Zelda game that we just never saw. So the art style didn't really sit well with a lot of people at first until they played the game. Also guilty. You have spoken. The video from last week has gone completely nuts. Way more views on that than I thought were gonna come. So as promised, we are continuing this series, which I guess now we're gonna call the Zelda 35th Anniversary Deep Dive Series. If you have a better name, leave it in the comments below. We'll probably go with it because mine's not that good. But today, I think we have a very exciting one, and obviously, we are talking about the Wind Waker. What's up, guys? Welcome back, or welcome in for the first time. If you are new here, very quickly, there's a link to our Discord down below. Make sure you hop in there and talk with us after this video. Also, if you have not seen the first video in this series, I will link that at the end. Don't worry, you do not have to watch these in any order whatsoever. But if you haven't seen it, make sure you click on that when you're done watching this video. So, as we did last time, let me catch you up on the Wind Waker if you don't really know a ton about it. This game was released back in 2003 on the GameCube, and as I said, a lot of people were not happy with this art style. Had a lot of people mad, expecting the more realistic style, but as I said, once they played the game, everything was fine. This was and still is one of the best Zelda games there is. So the Wind Waker is actually an indirect sequel to Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. It takes place about 100 years after both of those games. They do reference the Hero of Time from Ocarina of Time a few times in the beginning of the game, and that's actually why Link ends up wearing the green tunic in the beginning of the game to honor the Hero of Time. I don't know how many times I just said time, but it was a lot, sorry. But I don't want to give away too much of the plot, so we're not gonna really go into any of that, but it is very interesting, it's very good. And I have to admit, I was one of those people who in the beginning did not like the art style of this game. I was not somebody who came around on it until the HD version was released. That is the first time I actually played this game. And after beating it for the first time, man, amazing. But that's kind of where I want to pick up here. Now, unlike Ocarina of Time, with Wind Waker, we already have an HD version that was on the Wii U, along with Twilight Princess, so a lot of people have stopped asking the question if we are gonna get these games on the Switch, more of just when we are gonna get these on the Switch. Now, I find that logic extremely hard to argue with, and you're not gonna find me doing that here. As we know, Nintendo has already ported almost every single first-party Wii U game to the Switch. But Wind Waker is a little bit different, and not a lot of people talk about this. Now, we all know the story of the Wii U. It just really did not sell. When it was all said and done, the Wii U sold about 13 million units, which is not a lot. It's very bad. Considering the Switch has sold almost 70 million at this point, that kind of gives you a little bit of an estimate of where they were at with this thing. Nintendo was just not in a good place at that point. But when Wind Waker HD was released, it actually sold 2.3 million copies on the Wii U. Now that's pretty good, but what people don't talk about is when Wind Waker was released on the Wii U, the sales of the Wii U went up almost 700, yes, I said 700%. Clearly people were excited about this game. And I do think for as confused as Nintendo was at the time, they also understood that because they also released this game with a special edition Wii U. It's actually the Wii U that I have, and I'll try to show you guys some clips of that right now, either mine or just whatever I can find. But they did do a special edition Wii U with the release of the Wind Waker. And we're gonna cover all that, but I think if you look at all that, it's very, very hard to imagine a world where Nintendo does not release Wind Waker on the Switch. So yeah, as we said, the question of if this game is going to come to the Switch is pretty much out the window. It's just when, but I think the more important question is how. How will Nintendo deliver this game to us? The first one I want to go over here has been the default answer for everybody, including me. I'm also guilty of saying this, but I don't think this is definite. A lot of people are talking about this coming in a double pack with Twilight Princess, which I would say is the best way we could possibly get both of these both the HD versions in one package, $60. But the more and more I look into all this stuff, and the more and more I'm, doing research for these videos, unfortunately, the more and more I think that is probably not gonna happen. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and try to tell you that it's not possible and it's not going to happen, because it very well could. Nintendo could just decide to be nice to us and give us both of these games for one price. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Every other Wii U port that has come to the Switch has been full price, except for Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which actually I think was a cheaper game on the Wii U anyway, so it was probably still full price of whatever it cost anyway. I mean, there is a small, terrible possibility that they do give it to us in a double pack and then take it away in 6 months, like the Mario 35th Anniversary Collection. I really hope that's not what we see, but hey, anything is possible at this point. Now, I hope we don't see that, and I don't really think we will. And another reason that I really just don't think we're going to see these in a double pack is kind of something that I mentioned earlier. Nintendo thought this game was worthy enough to not only be brought up to HD and put on the Wii U, but also to get its very own special edition console. I mean, as we know, not just any old game gets a special edition Nintendo anything. I mean, especially in recent years. Now, do I think we're gonna see a Switch or a Switch Pro Windwaker edition? I doubt it. I highly, highly doubt it. Now, if they were gonna do a special edition, I think a slim possibility might be the Switch Lite. We've only seen one special edition Switch Lite, and that's obviously the Pokemon edition. Now, like I said, probably not gonna happen, but it is possible. You have to think, if Nintendo thinks that the Wind Waker is a big enough game to have its very own Wii U, they could very well give it a Switch Lite. It's possible. While not likely, still possible, and honestly, I would love to see a Wind Waker Switch Lite. I think there's a lot of really cool things they could do with something like that, and I'd love to see them take a crack at it. Now, I've got a few more special edition ideas I want to go over, but before we do all that, I do want to touch on something that I mentioned in the last video, because it does kind of involve Wind Waker, and that is, there is a small possibility, I don't think this is the way it's gonna happen, but there is a small possibility that we could see something like Mario 3D All-Stars, where you're getting the original version of Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. Now, if we did a carbon copy of that, only applied it to Zelda, we would get Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Skyward Sword. All of them being the original editions except Skyward Sword, obviously with the updated motion control stuff. Now, while that is also possible, I don't think that's gonna happen. They have the HD version of this already done. To let it just sit on the Wii U now would be a huge mistake, and there's no way Nintendo is gonna make that mistake. Well, I mean, I hope they don't make that mistake. They're not gonna make that mistake. Now, one more thing I do wanna cover is the game and the way it's going to be packaged. When it was redone in HD for the Wii U, we did see it come in several different ways. You had the standard edition, you had the console that came with the game, then you also had kind of a collector's edition that came with a Ganondorf figurine. It was like a little mini statue, he had his swords. It was really cool. I think it was about that tall, decent size. So the next question I really have is, would we see some type of a special edition or collector's edition version of just the game? Now, while I was writing this, I did have the idea. Maybe they do some type of like a companion figure. Something that goes with that Ganondorf statue. Like maybe it's Link and Zelda, but when you put them together, it looks like they're maybe in some fight sequence from the game or something like that. Just so they would actually go together, because obviously all those people who bought the first one are definitely gonna wanna buy the second one at that point. And I think something like that would be very cool, for collectors. For me, I would love to have something like that. But again, lately, Nintendo has not really been doing a lot of that stuff. We don't really see a lot of it these days. But who knows? They could go back to doing a lot more of that stuff, and this could be the year all that happens. But honestly, in my opinion, whatever they decide to do with the Wind Waker on Switch, as long as it's the HD version, I'm gonna be good with it. I'm definitely gonna pick it up day one, and unlike Ocarina of Time, the first one we've talked about in this series, I think this one's a definite. I don't think there's any reason why any of us should doubt that this game will be on the Switch sometime in 2021. Now, if I had to guess around when, I'm gonna probably guess sometime summer. This seems like a summer game, you know what I mean? Sailing, the ocean, fresh air, it seems like a summer game to me. Not that that really makes any difference, but I feel like it kind of fits maybe somewhere May, June, July, maybe August. But guys, let me know down in the comments what you think about all this. Is it gonna be the double pack? Are we going to see Wind Waker and Twilight Princess in the double pack? Are they going to be sold separately? Will we see them at all? And just like with the last video, I'm gonna ask you guys again, what game should we talk about next? I probably have about, 9 videos over there that I could potentially pull from, and I have some other ideas that aren't just games. Maybe some new stuff that we aren't expecting, or some new ideas that we've talked about in previous videos. Let me know where you want this series to go in the next episode, because I am gonna be keeping these out regularly. We do have some other content coming. Obviously, you know, normal stuff is not gonna stop. I'm just waiting on a lot of stuff to get here. We've got some really cool new Joy-Cons we're gonna take a look at. But guys, that is all I have for this one. As I said, link to the Discord is in the description. Also, check out the merch. There's also a link right under that Discord link to become a member of this channel. We just redid all the perks, awesome stuff in there, including stuff for the Discord. So check that out. And with all that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, make sure you are subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one.